Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to Andersen Acres. It's kind of a grubby day here. It's icky, it's grubby, it's not a lot of fun. I'll be honest, it's actually really cold. That's okay. That's okay. I have gloves on, so I'm ahead of the game already, and I actually put a jacket on. So I think we have a few minutes to be able to talk about quail. Or I hope we have a few minutes to be able to talk about quail. Let's see how they're doing. So I had someone ask me, do I get adults or do I get chicks? Someone always asks this about pretty much all birds. It really depends on what you want to do, all right? So I generally tell people you should get adults. Adults can be easily sexed because you can vent sex fully mature adults. They are hardy, so they're hard to kill, and they're usually already laying. The downsides to adults are, well, it's harder to bond to an adult because they're already adults. And they're just not as adorable as chicks. Okay, but I still recommend you get adults because your next option is juveniles. Ones that are about 3 to 4 weeks old. These are possibly sexable if they're the right color patterns. So if they're a cinnamon or a Manchurian or a Pharaoh or an Egyptian, you can all sex those kinds, so that's good. Okay? But they're not completely... It's not completely possible to sex them. If they're the wrong colors, you can't sex them. Like that silver, that black, they couldn't be sexed when they were chicks. When they were juveniles, they were too young. It's easier to bond with a juvenile, so something that's 3 to 4 weeks old, than it is an adult. Because they're still maturing, still growing. Juveniles are also still a little fragile, though. Okay, they can just... Hi. They can just up and die on you. Stop it. It's a caught. Other caught. Demon caught. Cut? Cut. I'm being stalked. Anyway, so juveniles can up and die on you sometimes because they're still in that fragile stage, and they're definitely not laying. Your third option is going to be chicks. Ow, Princess Orange just jumped on my head. Fantastic. Anyway, chicks, little babies. They're adorable, they're fun, they're easy to bond with. I love them. The problem is, they're not sexable. Do not let anybody tell you they are. 3, 4, 5-day-old chicks, quail chicks, not sexable. You can't vent sex them, you can't color sex them, nothing. So you don't know if you're getting boys or girls. That may throw your ratios off. They also take a very long time to lay. It could be, if they're babies, it could be 8 to 10 weeks before you get any eggs out of them, and you might not want to wait that long. You also have to brood them. Little babies require heat, so you'll have to have a brooder set up. You'll have to make sure they don't drown in their own water. When we talk about baby chicks, you'll see why. I'm not talking too much about babies right now, just about whether you should get them. The other problem with babies, they die. I am not kidding. In the quail world, people will often tell you quail are suicidal, okay? They look for ways to die when they're tiny. When they're little babies, they want to die. So they might drown themselves, they might get a chill, they might fall over dead, they might squish each other to death. It's horrible. I love baby chicks, and I get quail chicks on the regular. I hatch my own. But you should absolutely know that they do tend to die. So if you are going to get chicks, get more than you think you need. Okay? So those are your 3 options. Adults, juvies, chicks. Which you get is really dependent on your own situation and what works for you. So think about it carefully, do a little bit of research before you decide. And just because one person, thank you, and just because one person gets chicks doesn't mean you have to. You can get adults. Adults will cost a little more, but they might be easier on you in the long run, especially if you're just starting out. If you're just starting out, adult quail are the way to go. So I hope that answers that particular question. We will come back tomorrow and talk a little bit more about quail. So quail sounding like a frog. I will do a video on quail vocalizations because they're very, very funny. But for now, we are going to sign off and come back and visit these dudes tomorrow. See you then.